Good morning. Good morning. It's, what time is it? 12 minutes after 9. Ooh, that's early. Hello, everybody. Are y'all enjoying the cold and the snow? I'm sure a lot of you are, right? Hello to Nancy. Nancy, I'll address your question about the, as you worded it, a talk of a winter storm for the weekend. We'll cover that. Hello, Adrian. Down in Muldrow area. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Anna. All right. A lot of folks are up early. So hope you guys are trying to stay cozy and warm the best you can on this very frigid setup on this Wednesday. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good with SnowTALK, where we're going to take a look at not only just the cold that we got, but we're going to ease out of that topic briefly, get into the snow chances that we do have. And to go ahead and put your mind at ease, Nancy, we are not looking at a winter storm, but we do have some snow chances. We'll cover that, and then we'll get into the setup for next week and where I think this is likely going to keep evolving as we head down the road. Fair enough? Hello, North Vernon, Alex. You're about 8 below zero earlier there. I saw on the wind chill. We'll see what the new numbers are here in just a second. All right. I like to always start off with the snowboard this early in the day with the blog. So let's get right into where that stands for today. I'm going to go ahead and group the snow chances for tomorrow, tomorrow is Thursday. Trust me, my brain is fried, guys. So I apologize in advance if I say the wrong day. I even forget what my name is, or if I just suddenly start doing sports cues instead of weather. I don't know. Just to be aware, I'll bring all of our brains here, team. I think are kind of mushed out. So bear with us. I apologize. All right. Periods of snow. I'm going to group it all together from Thursday all the way into Saturday. Not going to snow the entire time, and it's not going to snow in all areas. It will depend on where you're at. And the time period that we're looking at may feature at least some light accumulations. We'll go through that. Then we get it to Monday. That's the warm front snow that will be snow showers. And then I think still for that system for the middle of the week, I told you yesterday I probably would add it to the board, and we've got it on there now for the middle of next week. As right now, I think it's going to be mainly snow, but there could be some mix involved. I'm not going to rule that out. I'll explain coming up here in just a smidge. All right, let's start off with the current view outside. I thought this was pretty wild to show. Looking right now at the Ohio River, these are those little pieces of ice, little sections of ice that are flowing down the Ohio right now in front of the Great Lawn. A little more prevalent upstream, Cincinnati to Pittsburgh. Quite a few, more of an ice jam for sure set up there. You don't have much water flowing at all. But those will all keep flowing down the river. So we'll eventually see those arrive here, even though we may not have new ones form right over us. We will at least see an increase in ice no matter what, just because of the way the river flows. So we will get very much an icy look in sections, not a solid sheet, just sections of it. It'd be like playing, has anyone played Fall Guys before? It's like playing Fall Guys when you land on those discs that change color and fall through. Those little kind of shapes. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, I know I got some gamers in here somewhere. At least some people play Fall Guys. Surely. Good morning, Judy. I hope all is well. Hello, Crispy Briskets. I always say I want to say biscuit every time, Crispy. I think you need to change your name. Hello there. I can't read your name, but it says that your street is pure ice right now. Yeah, it's where a lot of neighborhood streets have gone from a snow pack to everyone driving over it. So now it's compacted down to nothing but a sheet of ice. And that's what I remember the most on last year, because now you're going to get those little ruts that'll form, and you're going to get just in that icy rut setup that will take a while. Plow ain't going to work now. Now that they've been hopefully been plowed at least once, but that gets you down to the flat snow. Then you develop the ice with that, and then it gets more of the rut look to it. And then it takes days, if not weeks, in this case, to really improve. So if you have a neighborhood street that's like that, it's going to be like that for a while. So probably just avoid that street. I'm sure hopefully you got other options to get around that, I hope, because it won't change a lot. Salt can work, but in some of these really cold nights we got still to come, it's going to be tough for that to even work. Sunnier, the better we can be. That will help all of us out. And we do have some sunny days. I mean, we got some sun now, but it's not going to be sunny every single day. All right. Hello, Jeremy. A lot of ice on the river at West Point. Yeah, that's not going to be anywhere for a while. It's going to hold on for a while, that look, for the next couple of weeks. Okay. Anyway, just want to point that out in case you happen to be on tour around the city. Some people like to look at some of the snow areas and take photos and so forth. But if you are a big photographer, I'm sure that is a pretty cool sight to see for the Ohio, if you can safely get there. Make sure I put an asterisk on that. Current temperature in North Vernon, by the way, 0. Here in Louisville, 10. We dropped to 9 this morning. Wind chill was about 2 below 0, I believe, was the coldest wind chill I saw for Louisville. The coldest on the map I saw a couple times was 10 below 0. Paola and North Vernon both hit that. A lot of 8 below 0s this morning. Mainly that deeper snowpack area along the north of 64. That's where the cold weather advisory is set to expire in about an hour and a half, and it should expire on time. And then we'll be alert free for hopefully a good 24 hours before we get back to more alerts. They'll be coming our way down the road. Hey, we're trying to find some wiggle room where we can at this point. All right, here's the wind chill right now, 3 below 0 into Jeffersonville. Louisville's wind chill is actually right at 2 below at the moment. Every time I say 2 below, I always feel like I'm saying 2 below Mississippi. Maybe it's my country twang, or I talk fast. So 2 below sounds like 2 below. Anyway, now that I've said that, every time you hear 2 below on TV, you're going to think 2 below. I know you are. It's that whole mind game we play. 2 below 0 into Fort Knox, 4 below into LaGrange and Shelbyville. Look at Cincinnati right now, 12 below 0. Yikes. Not good, not good. Ryan said he got 13 below just before sunrise in North Vernon. I'm assuming wind chill, right? 13 below. If you got your actual thermometer there, that's interesting. Wouldn't surprise me. Just I want to make sure I clarify. what you recorded there on your thermometer. Let's see. Les, what'd you have, Les? 6 below zero this morning. Eek. I mean, in a sense, we're kind of getting to be professionals, right? I mean, we've been dealing with this for several days now, and we had a little bit of a taste in December, but I mean, days and days of this are like, hey, this is what it's like to live in the Great Lakes. People always say, Brian, you live so much, move to the Great Lakes. Well, guess what? The Great Lakes came here. So that makes it a lot easier and it saves on gas. Okay, so let me show you the visible satellite. I think I got that up. Let me see. No, it's the fog. Okay, well, I'll briefly mention this and I'll show it more. We didn't see a lot of freezing fog this morning. That potential was there at 1 or 2 sites that dropped visibility, but it wasn't enough. In this case, to get rime ice to form that you would have from the glaze that happens from freezing fog, you want to get below a quarter mile. Didn't see anything like that. It was too alarming. But tomorrow morning, we may, especially over the snowpack areas, can't rule it out that some of that freezing fog could develop. But right now, it's not a strong enough or wide enough signal to go buck wild on that idea. Just know that's possible. And we'll evaluate the data today and see how that trends. Okay, we got a batch of clouds moving right across in southwest Indiana, west Kentucky here. It's showing flurries just because it's so cold. Could you get a few flurries flying out? Yeah, I don't know if anyone would even notice, to be honest, but it will block the sun. That's the only thing you got to watch for, is that will keep your numbers colder today. Rest of the area, and this is roughly a Brandenburg, Bardstown line, it looks like. Anywhere along that line north, you're going to be staying sunny. But if you're south and west of that line, and you can't tell what I've drawn because I have so many squiggly lines, but you get the idea. A little batch of clouds kind of scooting on by for a visit. Let me go to a water view. Now you can see that feature a little easier, right? In that northwest flow kind of drifting right across south central Kentucky today. Otherwise, the flurries show up at times in some of the radar beams that detect them. St. Louis had a couple of recordings there, and that's not unheard of. You may see that every once in a while. Some flurries fly out of any cloud that flies by your area. The cold's one of the bigger issues, as always. Here are the alerts that are out. We got the extreme cold warning out for the I-70 corridor. That's where the biggest of snow, a foot to foot and a half, did fall in the region, was that area of Indiana. Still got that blowing and drifting snow they had last night. Those reports are pretty wild. And then you got some cold alerts in some of the bigger cities in the east. But wait a minute, what's that? What's that? Are we going to have to go all the way down past, let's see, Naples, Florida, to get out of the cold weather alerts, all the way down to the very last minute, head toward Miami and Key West? And this is not the coldest, by the way. They will likely get extreme cold weather warnings issued for Florida at some point for the weekend setup. I just don't know when they'll issue those, but this is nothing, to be honest, what they're about to get. And that may go all the way to Miami. Pretty wild stuff, right? Those poor iguanas. I always think about them falling out of those trees. Poor things. They've had a tough season. Might as well just stay out on the ground at that point. Don't even try to get back in the tree. You know, it's a lot of work. All right, but winter weather alerts as far as on the precipitation side. Well, got a few into the Great Lakes. Lake Superior's got a winter storm warning, it looks like. Lake Michigan does. Got a winter weather advisory there. Nothing big, right? So most of what you've seen on the radar, relatively light stuff that we're seeing that's been moving through the eastern part of the United States. Just a lot of cold and dry for many areas. What's Florida's criteria on the cold? I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to look it up. But I'm willing to bet the number I saw was about 29 for Miami. And I would think for them, that's probably an extreme cold warning. For us, it would be just a chilly night. But for them, it would be a bigger ordeal. So those alerts are based a lot on what you see in your climate. So that's how you can get the same color of an extreme cold warning, same title in Maine and Boston as you would in Florida, or say it's Miami. It'll be the same color on the map, but what the details are, what that actually says when you actually look at the alert, it would vary, obviously, as you go north to south in the lower 48. I think you guys get that. But anyway, climate matters on that. You are early this morning. Yes, I had to do the sunrise show this morning. So I have been up. I didn't really sleep very well, so I've been up since about 12. So I'm ready for a nap. Got another few more shows to do, then I'll get a nap in. And then back to normal for a couple of days. Okay, so what's next here? Well, let's start with the setup that we're going to feature with these light snow events. And we'll take just a break for a moment from the cold talk. So the little light snow that we've been referring to that will start to arrive, this is really it here. It'll arrive in a couple little pieces, and they are really, really light. First one that's going to be tomorrow, more likely at sunset, the way it's looking still. But that'll drop down near the same angle here. A little batch of flurries will move through. Then right behind it will actually be another wave of some very light snow. It should be a little bit more south than the first one. But that'll be the one into Friday that will likely do the whole pivoting action. It looked like it would be the one for Thursday night. Now it's looking more like the one Friday. Because what it's doing when it's doing that pivot, remember, it's the dropping down of the next plunge piece of the polar vortex that slides down this weekend. As it sits down on the Ohio Valley and pushes that snow band into the area, there will be a kind of a seesaw effect here where the push west is going to be a little more dramatic on this side, and the push to go a little more tilted upward will be more on the eastern side of that snow band. So the snow band will be horizontal when it arrives into Kentucky, and then it'll begin to tilt. It's tilting because low pressure is developing off the Carolina coast, technically in the Gulf, but heading to areas not far from, say, Hilton Head, and not too far away, even from Bluffton, South Carolina. But we'll end up with a low pressure that's going to be producing that snow into the Carolinas, eventually in the Delmarva Peninsula, and then whether or not it gets all the way into the Jersey Shore, Nantucket, depends on a couple of factors we'll look at in a second. But as the low deepens, it is going to take our little band of light snow across Kentucky, and again, it will begin to pivot, and eventually we'll lose the separate look to this snow band. It will morph into the complete northwest side of the snow shield that will be found on the snow area of that storm off the Carolina coast. But we will be still on the lighter side. But I would say if you're in eastern Kentucky, it could be an interesting little spot to be in on that snow shield as that low gets a little stronger into the start of the weekend. So right now I'm thinking these lighter snows that move across for Thursday night and Friday, maybe an inch, not a whole lot of moisture to work with. Once we start to develop that low and your snow shield does the tilt, has a little more of a kick to it, now we could be looking at more advisory level amounts of 2 to 3 that could fall. And I don't right now think that's going to be within our counties, but if you're watching Marion County, Washington County, Franklin counties, you're going to be right on the edge of wave country. So the Lexington area and I-75, they could be into that snow shield and therefore could get more than an inch. Nothing too dramatic here. This thing's got a limit to it because it's going to be pulling away fairly quick off the East Coast. But just want to mention when it does the whole pivoting and the snow shield backtracks just a bit, you could get some of the higher totals of light accumulations. So higher totals that are light. Oh, that makes sense, right? So for the rest of us, minor amounts from that. But it just will keep it a bit of a snow globe effect across the Commonwealth for sure. We'll have an active radar Thursday night, Friday, and in parts of Saturday. Now, Saturday, we could get another round of that snow that could drop in from the Great Lakes I mentioned before. That will slide down as more lake effect snow showers. Very disorganized, though. Nothing like the snow shield would be in East Kentucky. That'll be a little more impressive looking on the radar compared to our snows for a lot of you watching in wave country. Okay, so let's go through how this is going to look. We'll begin with, you can actually see the piece there of the polar vortex right there. See how that's already going backwards? You can already track it. It's heading to the southwest. And you can see here's your zone of snow influence that will be developing in the next couple of days. It's going to push right into that. And again, because it dives a little more west, it'll change that snow zone to more east-west. And as the center of the polar vortex gets a little more over the Ohio Valley, it will change the snow box into a little bit more of an angle like that. See, that makes sense. I don't know why I just draw that to begin with. Save myself a lot of trouble. Anyway, let's get in Futurecast. This is our in-house model, fair enough, of how this is going to look. We'll do it hour by hour. We'll start with today. It's got that batch of clouds. It's moving in now. So, all right, did well. It's initial, excuse me, I swallowed a bug. Anyway, initialized well. You can see the batch of clouds. Over the snowpack, again, underneath that, you can get flurries. Don't be surprised if you do see a few. It's not going to be enough to accumulate, but a few flakes, yeah. Okay, we get into tonight. Now watch areas of Indiana and parts of northern Kentucky, but anywhere where it's a clearing sky, and this is, believe it or not, a clearing sky that will be developing. But watch how this will fill in with fog as that signal lights up right in there. That will be where, even I'm back to Evansville, if this model is to believe, but that will be areas of your freezing fog. Again, very, very patchy, just something we'll monitor that for a few slick spots that could develop as we do overnight tonight and early into Thursday. Otherwise, look at that. Here comes the freezing line. The freezing line starting to creep into West Kentucky for tomorrow. It gets close. That means our numbers will be in the 20s again, and they'll be a little higher than today. But will we be above freezing? No. So this is just a tease. Just a tease. Because it goes away. See you later. See, it just didn't stay here very long. And we get the first little shot there of that little batch of very light snow that moves in late Thursday into Friday. Again, Futurecast, almost every model is not seeing this very well. So that tells me it's probably going to be flurries, but still, it's hard to draw a zone that it'll be in because it's going to be very ragged looking because it's not overly organized. But you will soon, as I'm about to click the button. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Now you see how it gets a little bit more of a kick to it. And now you see where the snow band is developing there on your Friday. And notice, yeah, it's aiming still more over Kentucky than it does over Indiana or northern Kentucky at that. And it's only because the dome of high pressure, the Arctic dome, is up here, right above that. And it's very broad east-west, so it can't allow the snow to build back into that again. It's only going to be in the edge of it. So that's why it's like a horizontal band. It's on the front end, like a cold front would be in a sense. So that's a spot to watch for Friday for some light accumulations. Minor stuff locally for a lot of us in wave country, but you get east of our area into eastern Kentucky a little bit more. A little bit more. What'd you say, JK? Stop messing with my emotions with warmer weather, Brian. Yeah, I told you. It's sometimes I just want you to show that it is trying, okay, that that line does move, and I'm not forcing it to do anything. I'm trying to validate that. If that makes sense. What did that say? Let's see. May God forgive the bearer of more bad news, Brian Good. Thank you, D. I don't think I'm all bad news. Do you think I'm full of bad news? I don't think I'm bad news. It depends on what I'm talking about. Snow lovers think I'm saying a lot of good things to you. Cold weather lovers are like, yeah, this is great. Those that love warm weather are like, yes, he needs to really be considered in the next movie for Bad Santa. You know, I get it. It just depends on who's watching. But I appreciate the sarcasm. I hope, D, that you got. I do have a sense of humor. It's just very dry humor. It really is. All right, here we go. Let's continue on. Here we go. Friday afternoon, it continues. Now you're starting to see the pivoting happen here where they storm the East Coast, which you can't see, but I'll show you a different angle. Starts to get a little bit more of its grip. Now we sort of see some of the lake effect snow trying to drop down. Now at this point, the core of the high is more over here. It's not over Illinois, so it's sliding just a bit. So we have some ability now to get some of these snow showers to get back down into Kentucky. But they are very, very blotchy, if you will. Nothing overly organized, just a very cold setup and flat out frigid as we get into Friday night into Saturday. I mean, these numbers, especially if we clear the sky out, we'll see. This is the most recent run. This is a brand new run, by the way, of the graph showing the snow showers breaking out as we get into Friday night, and that's where it stops. So, yeah, could be interesting. Could we get some winter weather advisories out of this setup? It certainly looks that way. But I don't know how far west they'll end up trending those. But if you are more east, then your odds are a little higher than west. Fair enough. That's the easy way. It's only Wednesday. And we're talking about Friday night. So this is going to still get changed. But we know it's all snow. So that's easy. There's no sleet involved. It's all snow. Now it's just an issue of moisture and really the dynamics of how the system evolves, how it all begins to do a tilt. So we'll fine tune that. Every model is going to be just a little different than the other, but that's the general storyline I just explained to you all. So let me show you. This is our snow map we had already drawn for this event for Friday's light snow. We may still play with this. If there's anything, we may make this a little more east-west here in Kentucky, and probably have to fill in all of Kentucky, really, the same thing. It'd probably be just a big box of light accumulations, and I'm sure there'll be another tier of a little bit higher, over 2 inches that could fall, a little more there in the eastern Kentucky. Seems fair. If you're in Indiana, I'm not saying you're not going to get any snow, but your odds or how you're going to get snow will be coming a little bit more from the north. Anything that moves in from the Great Lakes, that's usually how you're going to get your snow out of this. Otherwise, the rest of the area will be all about the boundary. Okay, good enough. All right, let's move on. Here is the Euro. Same storyline. Again, that little piece, the little piece that drops in for your Thursday night and Friday. Scoots on by. Here we go. Here is the low pressure that forms the snow. This a little far east on the Euro, but in general, you see the more aggressive snow shield. I think that's going to be a little bit more toward Lexington. It's going to be tough to get a lot of moisture on the other side of the Appalachians, so it will be lighter than you would be if you're on the other side of the Appalachians into the Piedmont areas of North Carolina, into the Commonwealth of Virginia, into the Delmarva Peninsula, even all the way to the beaches can get snow out of this. And even Myrtle Beach, speaking of beaches, can get some snow out of this. But at that point, the biggest challenge they have for the East Coast is how fast does it move away? Does it continue to bomb out, become a blizzard for the Jersey Shore, maybe to near New York, possible? Or does it just keep on rolling out and misses everybody and becomes a blizzard in the middle of the ocean? Ooh, there's the Euro. Oh boy, look at that. Look at that. Can you imagine being a snow lover and you're staying on the Jersey Shore and you're looking at a blizzard in the ocean, but it never arrives. But you can see it, probably even smell it, but it's not going to be moving in. That's how close it's going to be for them. Thank goodness I'm not a meteorologist up there, because we already went through our stress. I can only imagine what they're going to be feeling in their forecast for this one. Whew, they can have that one. Good luck. But exciting at the same time. Meteorologically, it's exciting. Okay, meanwhile, we can't pay much attention to what's going on to the east because we need to start looking west. Here comes our next, again, a combo of a clipper and a warm front moving in. This should arrive here on Monday with a band of light snow. This is looking to be under an inch, by the way. But a band of light snow moves in. Whether or not it fouls up traffic on Monday, good question. It's also Groundhog Day. We don't want to mess up Punxsutawney Phil's view. So actually, we do want it to, right? Yeah, if he does not see his shadow, how does it work? I always forget. Does not see his shadow. Winter is spring is about to arrive. He sees his shadow 6 more weeks away. Is that right? Isn't it awful? I'm dyslexic, so I get it backwards every time. I literally have to sit here and think about it. Here we go. Next Wednesday. This is where we've added on to the snowboard. This is going to be a little bit more of a southern wave that will try to throw in a little bit more juice into this. Some models are showing flat out rain arriving here next Wednesday. I'm not buying that. This cold Arctic air is in no hurry to get out of here. The models never see that. Yada, yada, yada. You know the storyline. We're still going to have snow on the ground, so this is going to be, if it were to be warmer air flowing over it, yes, then we'll have to deal with a mix of some type. At pure rain, I don't see how that's going to happen. But something on the wintry side that could cause us some problems for the middle of next week, yes, that's fair. All about the speed of it. So we'll monitor that as it moves on by. And it looks like we're done. We're finally going to warm up. Yeah, I think we could get above freezing at this point at the end of next week. That's fair. Don't think it's going to stay. More Arctic plunges will likely come about. Here is the latest matrix from the Euro, and it shows, well, you can see the Friday, Saturday type of setup. They're all bunched together. It's hard to read it, but here's your Friday and Saturday wave. Again, all gray, filled in nicely. We get into around Groundhog Day for Monday. There's that wave, again, filled in nicely, all light. And for the middle of next week, because it has more moisture with it, as I mentioned, therefore, you're getting different colors because you're getting a little bit more moisture injected into the system. So I think it's a little more interesting. And then you see the little bit more of the thaw that happens after that. So that it's not as active, but it's not done by any means. There's still hints down the road here. It just eases a bit on the noise. All right, show you the 10-day and get to your questions. And then we do have a press conference that I have to get to shortly. So I can't talk too long here, but we'll go with 20s today, upper 20s tomorrow. Remember that freezing line gets a little closer to us. It teases us, but it goes away again. 1 below 0 Friday night, especially if we get a little bit of a coating of snowfall out of this. Skies clearing will be key, but there is a chance if we clear that sky out into early Saturday, the wind chill, talking about the chill, could go into the double digits below zero. I'm talking up to 15 to 25 below again for Saturday morning. So very, very cold to start the weekend off. And then there's that light snow for Monday for Groundhog Day, and then the light snow or whatever that mess will be for the middle of next week. Any questions? Any questions? Heat wave next week, Mitchell says. Yes, heat wave. There you go. Oh, it sees a shadow. Well, that's the bad news in that case. Yeah, sees a shadow. You're right. He will likely be in the middle of a high pressure dome, so he probably will be under a clear sky. At this point, everyone's going to moan and groan no matter what he says. But certainly, if he says 6 more weeks of winter, you guys are really going to moan and groan. Hi, Adam. Glad to see you on. Glad to see you on. Carrie, you mentioned often you don't have much data of Southern Indiana. How can we get more weather stations? That will likely be in a school being involved, Carrie. Kentucky Mesonet is from Western Kentucky University. It's a partnership with them. Actually, my friend Shane Hollandy is now running that up, and state climatologist as well for Kentucky. And he's, he's a pro at this. He's done a great job, Kentucky Mesonet. But I feel like we have one almost every county now. They make a big difference. And Indiana just hasn't. I'm surprised at Purdue, but even IU Southeastern, even IU itself, I just feel like some school needs to step up somehow and create an Indiana Mesonet, because especially around the Hoosier National Forest, our population numbers are a lot thinner, and we don't get a lot of data there. So, and a lot of our storms, especially tornadoes and severe weather, they roll in over that forest, and by the time they emerge on the other side of it, it's already on the Louisville Metro, and things just change quickly in severe weather events when we face that scenario. So having mesonets would be a big help. But again, schools usually are a little easier to handle the funding for that kind of a setup, and it's very much on the educational side, right? So I'm hoping some school in Indiana decides to do that. That's the easy answer I can give for you, Carrie. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to see much of a change on that in the short term. But we definitely need one. And a lot of states have them. Iowa does, Oklahoma, Maryland. Mesonets are big, and Kentucky is proof of that as well. How well do the analogs handle with winter weather? Good and bad, Chris. I know there's analogs that are already shown up for the weekend system that bring in that snow into eastern Kentucky, but it's more of an issue for the East Coast for that type of analog, not so much here locally. But we're in an anomaly pattern, so it's a little tough. I know for 6 SIPs, we look at past times we faced this scenario, what has happened before. Well, when you're in a situation you really had before, it's hard to trust that. You can find similar situations. That's fair. That's fair. But finding their exact setup, and this has been kind of an odd one here lately, it's a bit more of a challenge. But no doubt, it's anything that's an extra tool to look at, I have nothing against. The more data, the better. Just don't share all that data all the time, because it becomes overwhelming to anyone who's not used to all that. So there's a lot that I look at every day I don't show you all, because it would really make your brains hurt. I show you the stuff that I think you would understand and I think is more valid than that noise that's out there. But we look at a lot. It takes a long time to get blogs done, and our streams in the evening. It takes a long time to get these ready, because we're looking at it. Feels like a million things. And if I had to show you everything here, you would be so confused at what was going to happen. And it's not worth that. And it's our job to analyze that and kind of regurgitate it out of what we feel is the most likely scenario. And that's what we do here on the blog. But there's a lot. There's really, in my opinion, there's too many models out there. It just makes anybody their brain hurt for sure. How's Paoli looking? Cold. Sunny, I think they're opening back up, though, for the skiing. Now that everybody can get to them. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that, because I'm going to get ready for this press conference. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll be back on for midday today, and then I'm going to go nap after the noon show, and then I'll be back, and we'll get into the latest with that light snow setup for Friday and Saturday. Hopefully, when I see you all tomorrow, we got more data to work with, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty a little more on that. And by Friday, I should have much more to on the middle of next week. So we'll end the week talking more about that in more detail. So we'll just kind of move the storyline. We'll inch it forward in baby steps as we go through the next couple of days. All right, guys, stay warm best you can. I keep saying it every day, but I really do mean it. Stay warm, stay cozy. I'll see you guys coming up on the flip side.